sex. No, sorry, how Chinese AI will change the world. Well, those things are not connected, but let's focus on Chinese AI at the moment. And in fact, let's look at it from a broader perspective. Classic telecom has been all about connecting people. That's the famous slogan that we've all seen before. 5G changed that to a situation where we are connecting things, all these IoT devices that are being connected now to a greater and greater extent. 6G is all about connected intelligence. It's a very different thing. So when we went to 5G, we moved away from a centralized architecture to one where the intelligence sits at the edge of the network. 5G has not been fully rolled out worldwide yet. It only has about maybe a 25% rollout level within the major markets. There's a long way still to go. In the building in Dubai where I live, we're high up in a high tower. There are 18 buildings in Dubai that are higher than 300 meters. And the basic issues of coverage are still there because, of course, with 5G technologies, the wavelength is short, which means that the waves don't curl around as easily, don't get in through windows. Old school problems, cell towers, all those problems. Okay, so 5G still has a long way to go in its rollout. And 6G is all about connected intelligence. Well, what does that really mean? Well, what it means is that the intelligence in my devices are connected to the intelligence in your devices and in everyone else's devices. Done right, that's really powerful, good, nice. The interoperability between these things is, of course, something that's really complicated. If you look at the older standards of 2G, 3G, 4G, then interoperability has always been a major issue for people to think about because you want to be able to buy some equipment from one supplier, some from another supplier, and make these work. Now, if you have connected intelligence, then the interoperability issues are new, to put it mildly, and the formal standardization work on 6G has not started yet. AI is very resource heavy in terms of memory, in terms of processing power. The model development is very difficult. So the leading players in 6G might be defined by simple things like the available R&D resource. However, if we go back to 3G, then in 3G, the introduction of IP-based networks throughout the telecom networks meant that new players like Cisco were able to enter. So it changed things. A lot of billing systems are built by HP. So it changed things a lot. Microsoft has been in there a lot. When we move into 6G, definitely it is an incredible opportunity for big players like Huawei to enter, to use their enormous R&D strength to enter. And if you look at the speed of this rollout, well, Apple's first iPhone-like device came out in 1992 and failed, and they came back in 2007 with the iPhone, and that was successful. And we need to think about this in a similar sense, that this is not going to happen overnight. This is a long play situation. It's going to happen slowly. So, okay, so let's see who the players are going to be. If we look at it from a traditional telecom standpoint, then there's an incredible opportunity indeed for Chinese AI to come in and dominate. But this might not, like 3G IP, this might not be a telecom play. It might be something else that's going to be happening here. So let's see. It's a very exciting space. Now, I did this slide and I thought, This is going to be fun. I'm going to drill into these different aspects of 6G AI, combine these things. It's going to be really, really good fun. And before I do that, let me talk to some of our customers to make sure that the type of presentation I give today is the right presentation. So I spoke to Khaled, Dayu, and Lucas, and I said, hey, this is what I'd like to talk about. And I like talking to them because these people are straight. Even when they're losing, they don't fake it. They don't suppress, they don't project. There's no denial or self-delusion or anything like this. They just say it like it is. Look, today was a bad day. Maybe tomorrow is a good day. Yesterday was a good day, but today definitely is a bad day. They're very, very straight, even when they're losing. And that's one of the characteristics that I absolutely love about both Khaled, Dayu, and Lucas. So I posed a question, right, this is what I'm going to do. I showed them the slide that you and I just went through, and they said, no. Actually, we would much rather that you spoke about sex. And well, that's a bit surprising. I spilled my tea. And Khaled said, look, it's really, really easy. Instead of talking about 6G, just talk about money and sex. Okay. And Dayu said, I would sort of change the emphasis and make that sex and money instead. Okay. At this point, I was seriously embarrassed. And Lucas said, look, you're so English that you're trying to make it from being born to dying without ever being embarrassed. Get over it. Just do it. Just talk about future sex. So my question to you is, do we accept the challenge? Are we prepared to totally change the subject of this presentation for a couple of slides or not? And Lucas's comment on that was, well, it's very easy. Just turn off the browser. If you don't want to hear it, just turn off the browser, do something else. Okay, so get ready. This is not going to be what you expect. Khaled started off by saying that as a GCC gentleman, and he really is, he has to bridge, he has his family, and he has to bridge between a lot of values from the past into the world that his children are living in today. And that's difficult because the value sets on these two sides are different, and it's not settled, and we're kind of mid-flight between these two things. So he feels an enormous sense of responsibility to ensure that his children have his family's values as they enter this new world that we're going into. And a part of that reality, and Khaled is very, very realistic, is that the internet has already settled the porn question. So it's available. His children are intelligent, according to Khaled. According to me, they're very intelligent indeed. And what Khaled tells me is quite simply that he has put in place various blocks, and the governments have put in place various blocks in order to prevent access, but his kids are intelligent, so it doesn't matter. They'll just bypass, they'll find a way. And if they can't find a way, they'll ask a friend and collaborate, bypass as a group. So from his perspective, there's no way that you can block access. And once you get access, you then come into the world of MindGeek. MindGeek is the big company that controls most of these websites worldwide at the moment. And you get in there and you have a multi-billion-dollar business where the positioning of women is, get her, subordination, silence, objectification, all this marginalization, so it's all there. And these sites, they have, the top 5 have more than 6 billion visits per month. So it's big traffic. So, and from Khaled's perspective, he doesn't like this, but it's a fact. He faces the fact. This is one of the things that's so beautiful about Khaled. He does not shy away from the fact. This is the way it does look like. And he's looking to bridge old world into new world. It's a difficult challenge. Dayu's thinking about this is somewhat different. She feels that the normative aspect is the most worrying thing. She doesn't want other people to say, that she's doing it wrong or something like that. She has her own way of doing things, and she feels that the way that sex is presented through porn site is too immediate. There's no imagination. You don't deliberate. You don't question. You don't reason. Boys get groomed and girls get scared. That's pretty much the way that she sees it. And one of the big things as well from her perspective is that children get access to this before they start getting formal education about it, and she doesn't like that. She feels that that should be the other way around. By the time the kids get to it, they should already know how to think about it. And that's an educational challenge that she definitely sees. And Lucas, well, Lucas has a happy relationship with his wife, and he wants that to be the role model for his children. He does not want some proxy guy to be the role model for his children. He wants his relationship with his wife to be the role model for his children. And he recognizes the enormous amount of traffic that's going on at the moment, 4 million adult sites worldwide, and like 12%. The data that's available on these things is incredibly bad, by the way, so please don't take the numbers exactly. We're too embarrassed to talk openly about these things as a society, and consequently the accurate data is only available internally within MindGeek. We actually don't have that, which is incredible. What we do know is that the total monthly unique visitors on Netflix, Twitter, and Amazon combined is lower than the traffic that MindGeek sees. So it's kind of big. And in that sense, one of the big things that Lucas talks about is, both in business and also in this particular case, is that, okay, if you look at the things that are immediately close to you, then what percentage of your time do you think about stuff that's outside? And as a company, outside the company, as an individual, outside your immediate thing. Cool. And what percentage of that is about the future of that? And then thirdly, what percentage of that is communicating with others? If you multiply those three, you end up with a very low number, like 0.1%. And this is something that always shocks Lucas. We spend too little time creating a shared understanding about how we think about the future. Most of the future will be driven by outside events, not internal events. We spend too little time thinking about how that's going to look in the future. Lucas deploys that in the way he thinks about business. He also deploys it in the way that he thinks about relationships and inside his family and so forth. So he's worried. He's worried that teachers, parents, and kids are not talking about these things together and about the effect it's going to have on society in the future. He's worried about that. And the most important thing that Lucas feels strongly about is that he wants his children to see the relationships around them, notably his relationship with his wife, as the role models, as opposed to some dude in some film. So definitely not learning behavioral roles from porn. So that's his position. And actually I find that both Khaled, Dayu, and Lucas, they're not that far apart, and in the way that they think about this. And I think the reason is that ultimately they're very respectful and real people. Maybe that's why I like them. And Khaled's big message is, okay, capture the good values from the past, take them into the future. Dayu, she loves to embarrass me. So yeah, you did it, Dayu, okay. And she says, okay, just don't be embarrassed. And Lucas is all about creating a shared understanding about what's going to come next so that we can act together on these things. And all three of them together feel strongly that embarrassed teachers and parents are not going to be taken seriously by children. That's kind of the big thing. Wow. Thank you for accepting the challenge. This was supposed to be about Chinese AI and 6G and so forth, and it got somewhat derailed. I'm impressed by the fact that you did not click out and do something different. Okay, it's time for us to get back to business, open up our accounts, pick the products we use, and let's get back to work. I need to put the kettle on, and I need to find another cup of tea because I spilled my tea when they did this to me. Thank you very much.